What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. To Your Eternity, Season 3, Episode 16. So in this episode, everyone who's like in school moves up to the next grade. So one of the things that's going right now is that, well, but one of the things, March starts fifth grade. Some girls are act a little mean, but like, so she's sad, but Mimuri like actually plays with her. They make mud balls, and some of the other girls who are picking on her, so I guess she makes friends with the ones who are picking on her. So like, March is able to move on. So like, yeah, so then, Mimuri helped her out, which is interesting because of, Mimuri, her issues. And then, yeah. And so this is weird, like it's interesting like what was going. So then another thing is Mizuha seemingly has transferred and has like been missing. And so, everyone tries to find so like, Fushi, Yuki, Hana, and like the others from like the occult group, like they're trying to find like they make like a scrapbook with pictures that um Izumi made for like of her and Mizuha. They make a scrapbook of that to so so they could pass on Izumi's message of how basically like how she felt about Mizuha to try and get her back, like because obviously Mizuha's freaking crazy. And so they go there. Also, Yuki wants to confess his feelings for Mizuha, so everyone's there to be like Yuki's wingman. And so yeah, so then they go there, but they put the scrapbook in like the mailbox. The Mizuha's father returns it, saying that they're moving away to where basically they don't have to play friends with her anymore. And yeah, so yeah, I'm interested in see like what's going on. Like, okay, like it's freaking insane what's going on right now. So then they go there, but then like so they they find like Mrs. Grandfather's house. So you have the Guardian Jaguar. So they sneak in, and basically so Yuki, so they call it, they use like a Ouija board to have some ghost guide them where to get there. Now, why do we were out like is a Ouija board that crap should not be messed with at all. That is Ouija boards invite some things. I hate messing with. I would never mess with that. I would not mess with tarot cards, Ouija board. None of that stuff. No. Like, yeah. And so they get to like this little throne room, I guess you could call it. So Mizuha is like, so you see, the Izumi knocker, like, because Izumi's dead. So the knocker, like, is like, basically Mizuha rest our lap. The father's just, I think the father does not look like he's happy about what's going on. So, and, the grandfather is excited to have Fushi there, to have Mizuha there to lead, I guess, the Guardians. So, and so they give like so Fushi gives Mizuha the scrapbook. So and then like so then like basically Fushi suspects that like the knocker is like possessor. So everyone else tries to make a case for why Mizuha should be able to go outside. You know, and then like so Tonari at school sees like some Fushi body, and then like all the weapons. So now it hints at, I guess, based on the previews for next episode, it looks like it's gonna be looks like what we've seen in the preview in the opening. sequence, like something in the school. So yeah, so that's gonna be interesting. Like what is actually going down. Like that's gonna be interesting with what's going down. So how it goes, I don't know. So it looks like that. Yeah, I'm interested in what happens. So basically, then, so after this, uh, so then, basically, so looks like that, the next episode's gonna deal with the rest of based on previous, what we seen, like Tonari shooting an arrow at Fushi or something. That's gonna be looks like play role in the next episode, which looks like I guess there's like a 3 week I think hiatus for the show, but that's due to the Olympics, the Winter Olympic Games. Which, sometimes I think some anime shows have done that where they've taken some breaks due to the Olympics. Yeah, I think Olympics and local elections in Japan, they've done that. Some shows have done that. Understandable, schedule wise, the ratings wise, they may not get a lot of views. So I understand from that perspective why they do it. But yeah, I thought it was a decent episode. And so we're getting to the final stretch because there's supposed to be 22 episodes for this season. Like it's 22 episodes, and then I believe the show's over. So we'll see what happens. It was interesting. March, dude, just the class picture, the first day you see March cry. I was like, oh no. I was like, what did you pricks do? And yeah, so been seeing March move on, feel happy about everything. And so Bond, I guess, was what dropped her off. So and there's, I guess, I totally forgot about Bond being the janitor, because he's hasn't really been a plot point. I guess the principal of the high school's mad about Bond skipping work because Bond, basically goes on talk shows and stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. I thought this was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Tojima wants to be a Kamen Rider, episode 17. So in this episode, Tojima is losing confidence himself, after he ran away from Batman. And so he buys some stuff at a convenience store, and he drops some coins. A young boy comes along and picks him up for it. And Tojima hears the boy talking to his father about how he wants to be a hero. And Tojima remembers when he was a kid wanting to be Kamen Rider. So he rewatches some old Kamen Rider episodes. I guess he still has the old, I guess, VHS tapes or DVDs. I'm guessing. I don't know if I'm sure. Well, I'm sure they're DVDs with Kamen Rider. I don't know where he, if you watch them on Tubi. Who knows? I mean, Tubi's free, and a lot of the I think the old episodes are still up there for the original show, because that's how I watched it. And so after watching old Kamen Rider episodes, remembering when Hongo teamed up with and with Hayato, so have basically how you had the second Kamen Rider in the original show. So he realized what he needs to do is how to work with his friends and fight alongside them. And so he yells outside the his window. He's like, "Thank you, Kamen Rider." And so the Cal's underlings, they've gotten jobs as security guards at a, for the combat idols and some other idols. So there's an idol festival. And so, basically those three, they meet, the combat girl's manager, who's Batman in his human form. And so during their performance, combat girls announced their upcoming concert in Tokyo Dome. And so after the festival, all the idol girls are changing. So they're changing. So basically, Batman walks in while they're all the ones who are not who are so the ones who are not part of Shocker, the ones who are I guess Shocker ones are just staying silently with their clothes on. The ones inside, they all just have their bras and panties on. And he walks in, and they're all for changing, and he's like, nice. It's like, yeah, I'd be weirded out. And then so he like starts buying them, trying to turn into shocker combatants. And some are screaming. The cows are always hear the screams and go to investigate. And then they see Batman attack, and they believe they're there to save the combat girls. But when the combat girls are revealed to be shocker combatants, they run away and like they're chased by the shocker by the combat girls. Like, no, they're chased by another group of shocker idols. So yeah, the combat girls I guess stay there. And their shocker idols are chasing them to try to kill them. Then they chase and it ends up in the cow's apartment. So it looks like we're gonna see next up what the cow chooses, because question becomes how much effect does the brainwashing have on him? So we've seen okay, so basically for a shocker combatant to break the brainwashing, they have to feel love. Like okay, does that is it just romantic love or like that like we see with some will it apply like is it like like basically is it air like I guess if you have the Greek because you have the Greek three Greek works of love: agape, which is unconditional; eros, which is romantic; phileo, which is brotherly love. Is it just eros? And I guess family, like if you're a parent caring for a child, like is it like does phileo, like brotherly love, fall under that as well? That is gonna be interesting next week. See if that's what happens. Because possible those three underlings could be turned if they're not killed, they could be turned to shocker combatants. So it looks like basically the idol thing is Batman's plan to subjugate all world, becoming shocker combatants. Because of using the idols is like some secret plot, which I'm like, which weird is some of that might work because there's a lot of weird fans out there with some of these stuff. I mean, but yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Digimon Beatbreak, episode 17. So in this one, Glowing Dawn is, they're chasing Digimon, and Ho- Hodoruko, who's from, Tactics, is also chasing that same Digimon. And Makoto accidentally encounters Hodoruko's younger siblings, who believe that he's one of Hodoruko's like colleagues from work, and Hodoruko who has not told her family about what she actually does for a living. She says, "Oh yeah, he is." And so the kids invite Makoto to like the family, so I guess the family's restaurant, and so everyone from all the Glowing Dawn members there, they get invited. So it's kind of awkward because Hoyoruko's part of Tactics, which Glowing Dawn has not had some positive encounters with, and his whole bit. So yeah, so dynamic between Makoto and Hoyoruko, where Makoto is kind of jealous of Hoyoruko having a stable family life, while Hoyoruko is jealous of Makoto having, friends that he can depend on. And so it's a little bit so you have multiple Digimon. You have Bertmon, Bergamon, and Koemon. And so yeah, so basically, Digimon attack, so they deal with the Digimon. So in the film, so once the battle, so like obviously in the competition, then Haruko lets Makoto keep two of the Digimon. They're turned back to like like the baby forms. And like so, there's Bertmon turning food into E-Pulse, so that's like the food thief that the little ones mention. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. So yeah, so interesting like how like the characters like we're seeing more of like the tactics like them being developed. So obviously they're trying to introduce them, give us more about them to show like because there's probably gonna be a big arc involving like tactics, like basically like how are they gonna be? Are they actually like how are they antagonists? Are they just gonna be like just are they gonna be villains? Or are they just gonna be like anti-heroes? Like how's it gonna go? That's gonna be really interesting. So yeah, I thought this was a very good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Blue Miburo season 2 episode 6. So in this one, so you have the Kondo and Serizawa factions. Like there's a lot of tensions between them. So what happens is that there's a girl who had she has glasses because she has vision. So she was like a basically I guess a courtesan or something. Basically was became under the employment of a noble, and then so Hijikata like was found there like she was about to kill herself because the noble died, and so he convinces her to like basically he convinces the like to like he tries to convince her to like to not kill herself, and he says he'll come by every day to make sure she doesn't. And then then you have later there's like this building that there's a building's burned down, and Serizawa's sitting on it like laughing about it, and so he's burned down building. Thankfully, no other buildings got caught in the fire because Neo's sister was nearby, her where she lives is nearby. So if that caught fire, that would not have gone well. Hajime and Neo would have been pissed. And so yeah, and so it's explained that, and so basically, the Mibro they're told to deal with Serizawa. Now, it's not directly said. The Aizu, like they want the Mibro members to take care of Serizawa. They don't say what that means, but basically everyone knows it means kill him. Like, because I mean, exiling. They talk about just exiling him, but like basically that would be leaving him to his own devices, and that could not go well. So Neo suggests that they ask him to basically confine himself to his quarters and to basically let yeah basically let him like deal with it like basically and then he'll talk with him. So that's what happened. And Sergio surprisingly agrees. And then now there's a whole conversation between Hijikata and Soji. Like Soji says he's a Hijikata supporter. Like he seems like he's not signed with either Kondo nor Serizawa. And yeah, and apparently Hadri's thinking he thinking about what's going on and like you have more. So yeah, he remembers that. So after he confronts Taro about Taro being believe supporters Serizawa. And so it's revealed that the merchant who owned the building that Serizawa had burned down, basically he was funding like some rebel groups that were good like shogunate groups, and like he and raising prices that raised the price on the commoners. So like basically it was done to like help prevent a rebellion or help stop a rebellion and help the people actually afford stuff. Now and then the guy also happened to owe the Miburo money. Like so there was some money. So there was a lot of motivation there. Now how he went about it, well, let's just say did not go well with people. Like there was an issue like yeah, like there was yeah, it's definitely interesting. So it's possible. So there's consider Kondo says wait a month. So basically, I guess before do anything about Serizawa, like whether to kill him or not. And so, okay. And then so Neo had, I guess, had a conversation with Serizawa, and when he walked out, Hadri noticed he had a look on his face like basically a life drain in his eyes or something. And so Neo was like, I guess, wanted to spar with Hajime in order to train. And so yeah, so what's going on? It's like so Taru is blindly supporting Serizawa, and how that affects things, I don't know. And like Hijikata, like wants to so he's going basically. I guess they want so Soji like says he'll do what he needs to do. So like, it looks like things are yeah, things are picking up. Like so, looks like stuff's about to go. Like the whole assassination is about to happen. So yeah, I thought this was a I thought it was a very good episode. I liked how they're setting up like the whole assassination of Serizawa. Like they're setting everything up. It's building up. We know things are about to get heated. So I really like this episode. Looking forward to the next one. Dead account, episode 4. So in this episode, so Sad Boy K is mad that Akari's dead account was exercised. So Sad Boy K is the one who killed. That's the dead account that killed Akari. So Itabashi, who is Azuki's secretary, tells Soji that he'll be investigating the electronics store, with Kasubata and Urusugawa to get rid of a bunch of little weaker dead accounts and using that are using electronics to recharge themselves. So there's a find where Asaki's there to tell them, but like he's in a disguise because like I guess his robe would draw attention. But then so he wears like a wig or something. So a bunch of girls appear and like start trying to flirt with him, and like he's trying to he's like above the clock uh work, but he can't because like he's trying hard not to do it because like one girl has like her basically has a large tits. And like so, there's a lot of cleavage, and he's just staring at her, and he's like staring at her tits. He's like crap. Then the girls just take him away. So that's why Itabashi has to explain the mission. So the three exorcists fight the accounts. So Urusugawa's cyberkinesis basically it's a pistol that shoots a slime that like can trap like I guess the target. So Kusama explains that like Urusugawa basically was a stalker, was stalking a boy band guitarist named Yami. And Urusugawa, basically she doesn't like having to be an actress because like it's time because there's a time she could spend like stalking Yami and like so Soji basically he understands that like some people won't trust him because his flames believes could kill both accounts and people. And they've come across a dead account called Karika-chan that heals injuries from that regenerates from the weapons. So Rusagawa is injured. Soji rescues her. And so what happens? So Rusagawa and Kasubada, they're like arguing with each other all the time. But then like once they fight accounts, they just start fighting in sync. And it's funny when they're fighting Karika-chan, they're arguing with her and still syncing up their attacks. And Soji's like, what the heck? So Soji tries to one sphere appears behind him. He attacks it. And he's like, "Oh, close call." And Ursula was like, "Yeah, close call. You almost hit us." And then and basically, so noticing something, I guess with Soji's flames, Kasaba touches Soji's flames and confirms that basically that Soji's demon flame power is inverted. So it doesn't hurt people. Like people are immune. It only attacks, the dead accounts. So humans don't get attacked by it. So Sad Boy's Cave's flames hurt people, like hurt humans, while Soji's hurt accounts. So it's like the opposite. So like it's definitely interesting like dynamic. So Rusagawa like wakes up because she was missing Yami's live stream, and she shoots a slime that restrains Kurika-chan, and so Soji, covers Kurika in flames that, basically it basically negates her regeneration, and Kasaba exercises her. And so Soji gets excited, during the fight, basically Kasaba basically calls her trash. She's like, because he's excited about the fight. And Soji admits is that he was doing all his streams to help his sister, but he did enjoy the thrill of the fights. And basically, they admit that they're all scum. Like they're all scum. Some of the exorcist, basically scum makes good exorcists, and it's better that Soji admits it than try to pretend he's just an all righteous person. and so and so basically, like the three like so basically, yeah, they say that yeah they're all scum, but they could be a good three-man team. And then Sad Boy K manifests in front of the three, in front of Soji, in response to Chan being killed, and Kasaba and Urusagawa are knocked down. Soji sees Sad Boy K, recognizing based on Azuki's appearance, like description of Sad Boy K. So that's gonna be interesting next episode how that first confrontation works out. So yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. I liked, how they introduced Urusagawa, like it's showing off her power. So probably was like we're gonna see missions. Guessing where some of the other, characters are gonna be like in the class or their powers gonna be shown. How that happens, I don't know. It's a different when you have like shows regarding schools for supernatural stuff. There are different ways they try to introduce the powers. Like obviously, My Hero Academia, you had during the classes, but also they really showed it off during the USJ arc and sports festival. And you had Blue Exorcist, obviously during classes, then during like some of the missions, like gradually building up the characters. Like then you have Naruto. Well, Naruto they all graduate to school, but they were all under masters. But like they introduce it like for a lot of the other ones outside team sales through the that the tuning exams. Now I don't know if there was I mean I don't know if there was a plan for Kishimoto to have arcs with each of those other teams before the tuning exams. I don't know, but like basically you have gradually like introduced the other side characters who are gonna be heavily associated with. So I like how they're doing it. It's gonna be interesting seeing how this goes. I thought it was a really good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Coming the Brave, episode 4. So in this episode, Yashiro walks into the bar or whatever, sees Jogamine there. Um, Yashiro doesn't want to teach her, and Jogamine said she's like keep coming by and pester him until he agrees to train her. Ishino hires Jogamine to investigate some of the stuff Thorn's done, and he convinces Yashiro to help in exchange for clearing his gambling debts. So Yashiro agrees. So so Yashiro and Jogamon go to Club Hex 3, and where a dealer named Matsugi will give them E3, and Jogamon will ask him a question, and basically, so Yashiro knows that Jogamon's mind reading ability could actually help with like investigations and stuff. So Matsugi approaches him, and Jogomon asks if he has E4. Yashiro doesn't know. I don't think he hasn't heard of it. Matsugi claims he doesn't know what that is, and basically, and Jogomon knows from reading his mind that Matsugi was suspicious when, due to the question. So Jogomon, after Matsuki leaves, Jogomon confronts three drug dealers trying to get some teenage girls addicted to E3. And so the boss of those dealers have a ability to sense emotion, so he can identify lies. I guess he can see like emotions as like color or something. And Jogomon notices that ability by being able to read his mind, that him thinking about using. So Yashiro admits he's Yashiro the Reaper, and they know who they're shocked about it because Yashiro is being hunted by Demon Lord Coughing Count. And Jogomai reads mind, learns that the drugs come from Verdigris Quarter, who's like a woman who works for Coughing Count. So the boss of the dealers offers to duel Yashiro. Off like so Yashiro would duel one of the boss's like underlings in exchange for for the girls. And so so basically the whoever one that fights Yashiro has like ability of like being able to use an invisible sword. Yashiro breaks his arm and gets the girls to safety. And Jogamine, so basically, so what happens? So after all of it, Yashiro asks Jogamine why she wants to be a brave, even though because her personality, like basically, he believes that only Scum could be effective braves, that the good ones die early. So it explains why the show is called Scum of the Brave. So Joyone explains that her father was a brave who died when she was like little. And Ishino and Yashiro talk on the phone later. Ishino asks if Yashiro told her who her father, if Jogomai told Yashiro who her father was. Yashiro says he doesn't care and hangs up the phone. So Ishino, I guess, knows who her father is. Who we don't know, who is like as far as anime only watchers know, we don't know who he is. So it looks like it's a big deal. I'm guessing based on it's someone that Yashiro knows. So that's going to be interesting. Like I'm interested in what happens. Like, okay, so who's the father? Like that's I'm interested. And I was like, okay, there's an interesting story. So we'll see like what happens. But yeah, I thought this was a really good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Wonder Man. So this is a new show on Disney Plus. They release the episodes all at once. Like so, this is part of the MCU. It's kind of not too connected. The only really connecting thread is the Department of like Damage Control and Trevor Satterley, who was like the fake Mandarin, whatever. And so in this one, so Simon Williams, who so in the comics, Wonder Man is Simon Williams. He was a businessman. His company's bought out by Stark Industries, and he joined. Wonder Man joins the like he gets superpowers from Baron Zemo. Basically helps the Masters, joins the Masters of Evil, helps them fight the Avengers, but then he turns good and helps the Avengers, but he seemingly dies, but he gets unconscious, and like and then like his brain, like basically so. And Ultron uses Wonder Man's brainwaves to help create Vision, and like so, and there's a whole bit like there's a long bit of him gradually trying to be restored to like full life or whatever. And so the acting thing, like that comes from like I guess like there is some stuff in the comics of him interested in acting, but he's a businessman before then. and like he was like a stuntman due to like his powers. He was able to like resist a lot of the damage that could come from that. Now, yeah, so and you have other adaptations, of course. Earth Mightiest Heroes. You have Wonder Man. It's kind of like a rival for he doesn't appear. He seemingly dies after betraying the Masters of Evil, and then, like there's a which that dude Wonder Man, that show was awesome. And he had, I think it was, I think Avengers United We Stand. I think that's what it was called. He like is unconscious for like a large portion of it. He was like dating Scarlet Witch, and they do a whole thing about how like his brain was reused to create Vision, how similar they are. And yeah, so basically, yeah, so you know, and and yeah, so what happens is, so now this show, now no, so this show, like, so Cy Williams is an actor. He's, I guess his family, they're from, I I think like the family's like from like, so his family, so he's African American, so he's a black family. I think, like, so he's white in the comics, black in this, so race swap. So Wonder Man within the show was a move in universe movie. So they're kind of doing like what the DuckTales reboot did with Darkwing Duck, where so in the original Darkwing Duck show, like from the 90s, like Drake Mallard is Darkwing Duck. Now in the DuckTales reboot, that Darkwing Duck is an in-universe like TV show, and then Drake Mallard plays him in in within like a movie or something, and then becomes like a dark, like takes the idea of Darkwing Duck as like a vigilante thing to fight crime. And then yeah, so and with Jim Starlin being the secret identity of the in universe TV show Darkwing Duck. So this is kind of a thing where so there was a Wonder Man movie that looked like the comic book version, and Cy Williams was a fan of the movie, and that's what got him into acting. And so it was like an '80s movie, and so Cy Williams, he was a struggling actor. He had a small role in American Horror Story, but he's fired from But basically, his method of acting is how he tries to get the character. He overthinks stuff, and basically he got fired because production was being delayed. And so he gets dumped by his girlfriend Vivian, and he learns of he learns that a director named Von Kovac is remaking the movie Wonder Man, and so he learns about, he tries to audition for it, but like, so his agent Janelle, he asked Jackson, his agent, for a chance to audition for it, but she says no due to like him getting fired from American Horror Story and how he is behaving and all that. So Simon gets the info from her computer, and he goes there anyway, and he meets Trevor Slattery, who the guy who was the fake Mandarin in Iron Man 3. That whole bit. Gosh, they did the Mandarin so bad. The Mandarin has been done so poorly in the MCU. Whereas you had Trevor Slattery, then you had the guy in Shang-Chi. Yes, I pronounce it Shang-Chi as it should be. It's like I say Namor, not Namor. And so Simon befriends Trevor, and so Trevor gives him advice. Because Simon's panicked because of how he overthinks the character, trying to think of a backstory to overthink it. He overthinks it, and so Trevor tells him to relax. Anyway, so taking Trevor's advice, he actually does a good audition. Two of them go out, and two of them go to get drinks. Trevor's contacted by the Department of Damage Control agent. He clearly who's based off of a comic book character named Albert Clearly. And so yeah, so basically, so it turns out Trevor has a deal with the DODC to, in exchange for getting out of prison, um, in exchange for getting out of prison, basically he had to, like, because he was kidnapped from prison, and then basically, and he was arrested once he returned to the U.S. So once he came back, he was allowed to get out of prison in exchange for, like, reporting on anyone who, like, had super, because there's like a thing called the doorman, like, clause. So basically, Demar Davis, so there's a doorman is an actual superhero in the comics. So in the comics, he like he's called Doorman. Basically, he was resurrected by an entity called Oblivion after his death to become an angel of death, and he gets these pull powers, and he can like do so using dark. He uses dark force energy, and he's a member of the Great Lakes Avengers in the comics. So basically, like he's like he's not necessarily a well known superhero, but like Doorman befriended Josh Gad, and basically he was a doorman of a hotel. He uses his powers to help save people from a fire, and then and basically yeah, and then like he becomes a bodyguard with Josh Gad. Then like he gets some acting jobs, and like in a movie called Cash Grab, becomes a star, and like but basically so he has some alcohol issues, and he has some public endorsement issues. There's some controversies. So while Cash Grab 2's game failed to help, which he's done, to help revitalize his career, he loses control of his abilities, and Gad is trapped in some dimension where while passing through his body. So DODC, you know, puts Dorman under surveillance, and the Dorman clause may keep superpowered people from being in film and television. And actors are required to sign contracts stating that they have no power. So basically, Simon broke the law by signing the deal that he had, or always broke the Hollywood, like the union, I guess the CBA rules, whatever. I don't know if it's actually a so I don't know if it's actually a legal law. So I don't know if he actually you know did break the law, but he definitely went against SAG after rules. So I kind of respect him for going against SAG after rules. But so basically the studios created that. So he technically Simon is not allowed to be an actor, but he keeps secret of his power. So so Trevor goes along with Simon when he goes to his parents' house, to his for his mother homes for his mom's birthday, and so there also there's tension between Simon's brother Eric. So the comics, Eric is the Grim Reaper. He's like the supervillain. Yeah, this show that's not the case. It's like that's not the case. So yeah, so basically, so due to like how the process goes with trying to get an audition, like Eric is annoyed because he believes his mother's just enabling Simon to just basically be a neat, like, for all a lot of people know, non-employed, educated, where and like so yeah, so basically Simon like gets angry, he actually breaks the table and then exposes his powers, and Trevor agrees to help him keep it secret, and like and then but while Simon's concerned giving up acting, um and basically so Janelle calls Simon and about him and Trevor getting callbacks for Wonder Man. So Kovac wants Trevor and Simon to continue trying out, like so the next stage of it. So at the mansion, a bunch of actors who are in the run portray Wonder Woman and Barnaby. They basically so they do do all the audition stuff. So you have some improv exercises in order to see how they go. So Simon screws up a few times. He recreates a scene from Pretty Woman where he uses his own experience, and he falls asleep and dreams that he uses power to kill an actor after the actor calls Simon freak. Now that's when they dream, not in real life. So Simon talks with Trevor. He's saying how nervous he is about, and so Trevor calms him down and calls just be himself and all that. And then they do a performance and Kovacs impressed, and he decides to cast him as Wonder Man Barnaby. And yeah, so and you have a whole thing where Trevor's conflicted between turning inside to the DODC or helping him be an actor. And so Trevor helps Simon get better as in that work with the crew and all that. And so a New York Times journalist named Kathy Freeman wants to write a profile on them. And Simon's concerned because Freeman really goes after people. And so Freeman has talked to Vivian, Eric, and Simon's mother, Martha. And Vivian says that reveals to Simon that she knew that he had powers, but she didn't say anything to Freeman since that was his secret, and she wished that he had trusted her to mention them. But she understood why he kept them a secret. And Simon surprised. So Eric actually spoke highly of him to Freeman, and Freeman asks Trevor about his arrest and asks what deal he cut he made with the government to avoid going back to prison. And Trevor walks off the set. Wherever Simon confronts Trevor, and Trevor confesses that about the truth about his deal to DODC to spy on superpower people in Hollywood like Simon, but he promises he'll find a way to get them both out of it. So Simon, due to his emotions, and he goes to a soundstage and unleashes an explosion, destroys the set. Simon goes to his apartment. He thinks he's gonna be caught. Trevor calls him to apologize, and says he has a solution. So Trevor gets back into his Mandarin outfit and persona and all that, and publicly claims to be responsible for the explosion. Now, Agent clearly knows that Trevor's just taking the fall for Simon, but he goes along with it because basically they need more prisoners to justify a prison in Yucca Valley. So Trevor's arrested. Kovac, and see so recommends they continue filming the movie and tells Simon to use Trevor's portrayal as inspiration for the scene where Barnaby betrays Wonder Man. So the movie's finished. Pan, so um so Trevor is replaced by his rival Joe Pantoliano, who's a real life actor. He would play Francis Fratelli in The Goonies, Captain Conrad Howard in Bad Boys, Cypher in The Matrix, and he was Ralphie in The Sopranos. So that guy, so that actor replaces Trent, and so yeah, so the movie becomes a major success, makes a lot of money, and so Eric, basically I guess he tells Simon he's proud of him, and Janelle tells Simon he has to actually pick up what role he could do. So Simon shadows a DODC guard and claims to be making a movie about him, and he wants to shadow him to do research for the role. And that gives Simon access to a DODC prison. And And so clearly learns that Simon's powers they use ionic energy, and he tells his boss that Simon could be an asset, and Simon uses his powers to break Trevor out of prison, and they basically fly away. Now, okay, as far as I did not like this show. So okay, I would one of the things that was promised is like so it was gonna be meta comment about race swapping. It didn't really deal with that at all. I imagine there's probably scenes that did go into that, but I this is my personal theory. They probably cut a lot of that out. I think they kind of I think kind of like what like how they have reshot some stuff in Daredevil Born Again. I think my personal opinion is that I think I think they cut some of the scenes out in order to because they don't want the current day stuff to be brought in too much with this show. I mean, the range were gonna be pretty low anyway. I mean, look, Wonder. I mean, here's the thing: Vision, whose creation involved Wonder Man's brainwaves, is more famous than Wonder Man. That is a fact. That is objectively a fact. Like, I mean, we didn't get Wonder Man before. Like, honestly, Wonder Man probably should have been Iron Man, a character in Iron Man 3, but what like to lead up into into Vision being created. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, the fact we never got Masters of Evil makes no sense. And I don't even think we're getting them in Doomsday. We never got Masters of Evil in MCU. That is just a dumb thing. Anyway, so with this, so Eric's not a villain. So you have the two part. They could have had Grim Reaper as a villain. There isn't really a villain in this outside of clearly. You can say clearly is the main villain. And so like the fact that everyone seems so buddy buddy with Trevor makes no sense. I'm like, look, I know Hollywood has a bunch of degenerates, has a bunch of really evil people involved, but I don't think they would be all buddy buddy with Trevor given his past. I don't think they would. Now, as far as the acting in this is actually pretty good. Like the actors, they do a good job with what they're given. Like Kingsley does a very good job as Trevor. I've never been a fan of the character. Like I don't like how they handled the Mandarin. That just gosh, what they did with the Mandarin just made no sense. Like that was such a bad move by Marvel with how they've handled Mandarin. Anyway, so there was a lot of stuff. So and this was meant to I guess kind of be like about Hollywood. It didn't, I feel like they should have shown more about Hollywood, like how like here's the thing, they could have shown taken some like if they're gonna add some comedy like more comedy like this wasn't really funny, so they could have had some shots about how Hollywood's run, how things work, make fun of the tropes of Hollywood, some but Hollywood, they have very fragile egos, so they probably wouldn't be willing to do that. You know, like they could, and they obviously they ain't get into like the race swapping thing, and so yeah, like this was not a good show, like, and so Simon basically got away with it, like, okay, if they knew if like clearly knew about Simon having powers, I mean, could the DODC have just arrested him? Like, could they have? I mean, like, I mean, I guess with him being like, I mean, really, I mean, it's like now with him breaking Trevor out, how is that going to affect his career? Like, is he going to be a fugitive now, or is he going to be like, and like, is he going to be a fugitive? Because if they were going to do a sequel, like a second season, what you you have him being on the run, then like Eric feeling betrayed and becoming Grim Reaper to try to bring down Wonder Man. Like here's I mean this the damage control. So damage control, if I recall, MCU, I think it was first shown in Spider-Man: Homecoming. I believe it was Tony Stark was the, if I recall correctly, like Tony Stark started the Department of Damage Control in the MCU. So like so basically it like it does like what damage control in the comics does, and they basically it seems like they event like what do they do like okay so it seems like it's just a superhuman investigation group, but we don't get much with them. Like I feel like they could have like I don't know, explored it more. Like there's, I was like, what do they do? Like they don't seem to do anything. Like we don't get anything about we. I mean, yeah, they're mentioned in. It's like it's an Easter egg in Spider-Man Homecoming, and I mean that's what and like and they're involved in the like and they're involved in Spider-Man No Way Home, and then like what they there's something with Kamala Khan. Like okay, like I feel like they should that if you're gonna have this be like a group, oh, they should be developed. Like I mean, of course, they probably like this seems like something that like an Agents of Shield type thing. Like you could they could have had a damage control TV show, like do something like what Agents of Shield. Although I don't think it would have as good of writing as Agents of Shield did. But yeah, damage control has just not been developed well. Like I didn't even know in No Way Home that that was even damage control. And Homecoming, it was just meant to be. It basically was just an Easter egg, really. But yeah, I didn't like this show, and then like Simon, like he's very selfish. I mean, he's a Hollywood actor, so selfish is not surprising at all. So it's like the dormant clause, like so. There's a lot, not a lot explains. Like, okay, how did that prove did? Because I'm assuming the studios had to get SAG-AFTRA to sign off on it. So like they didn't go that like they could have done like since we had an actor strike recently, they could have done something with like if it was revealed he had powers like basically have a plot like basically you have like other actor you have a strike, maybe there was like a strike or something when for superpower people like superpower people like what there was strikes threatened about it. Like, they could have done some stuff with this, but this was just not a good show. It's better than a lot of what these Disney Plus MCU shows have been, which doesn't say much. Like it's better, but it's not good. So I can't really recommend watching it. Well, and that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.